Nearly 80 countries have called for the territorial integrity of Ukraine to be the basis for any peace agreement to end Russia's two-year war. Some key developing nations at a Swiss conference did not join in. The joint communique capped a two-day conference marked by the absence of Russia, which was not invited. Many attendees expressed hope that Russia might join in on a roadmap to peace in the future. But on the second and final day of the summit, India decided to not sign the joint communique or any other document emerging from the conference. Pavan Kapoor from the Ministry of External Affairs, who led the Indian delegation at the summit, emphasized the use of dialogue and diplomacy as India's approach to achieving lasting peace in Ukraine. In fact, in his address, Ambassador Kapoor said that India will continue to work with all stakeholders that are committed to resolving the conflict. I'm quoting Ambassador Kapoor here. The decision of nations to opt out of Ukraine declaration has cast a shadow over Ukraine President Zelensky's bid to broaden support in the war against Russia's invasion. About 100 countries took part in the conference, but Russia, as I mentioned, was not invited, and China actually snubbed the event. But besides India, other nations which stayed away from the final communique, they included South Africa, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Mexico, Armenia, Libya, Indonesia, Bahrain, Colombia, as well as the UAE. Now, all of NATO, small islands in the Pacific and Indian Ocean, and countries under the US military umbrella in Asia signed this communique.
India shares the global concern over the situation in Ukraine and supports any collective desire to facilitate a peaceful resolution of the conflict. India's participation in the Summit on Peace in Ukraine, as well as in the preceding NSA political director level meetings based on Ukraine's peace formula, is in line with our clear and consistent approach that enduring peace can be achieved only through dialogue and diplomacy.
The format of the summit is absolutely working, and I thank you all for that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Dear colleagues, all those present, now we see that we all made the right choice. The choice of two security and one humanitarian points to start moving towards the restoration of full security and a just peace.
Well, as India says, it does not associate itself with any communique or document emerging from the summit, asserting only those options acceptable to both parties can lead to abiding peace. Well, for further clarity, we have with us former diplomat J.K. Tripathi. Sir, is it a fair assessment that India remains sympathetic towards Ukraine, but obviously cannot go against Russia because of its dependencies?
You see, this statement cannot be said to be at the behest of Russia or any other country. Because simple reason is that if two countries are at war with each other, and then there is any conference to tackle the issue, to resolve the issue, then certainly both countries should be invited for that. Both countries should participate in discussions, debates, deliberations, etc., so that then a consensus or then an agreement can come. But in this situation, more than 80 countries participated in the debate, in the conference, but Russia was not invited, not even a delegation of Russia. Right? Maybe you are trying to accuse, or you are accusing Russia of genocide or whatever, but the fair play demands that if there are two parties, then both parties should be invited for the dialogue, and only then something can be achieved. But here in this case, it was not done. So certainly our representative, Mr. Pavan Kapoor, was very much right when he said that India continues to believe that such a resolution requires a sincere and practical engagement between the two parties. And he told that we'll continue to remain engaged with all stakeholders as well as the warring parties. So, sir, I don't think anything exceptional or anything bad in this statement.
Right, though Ukraine's argument, of course, has been it's not genocide or whatever. That's something that they have vociferously advocated at different stages on the international stage as well. Meanwhile, China has declined to attend that conference. We know Beijing, their risky strategy, many experts argue, is to sabotage Western-led peace proposals and then swoop in and use its leverage over Russia to broker its own peace deal. Does this seem like China's strategy?
Might be, because China is known to back Russia on all the international forums and regional forums. So China is correct in declining to join, because China is a party of that. But for India, we are not a party to any of the warring nations. So we attended. We have attended all the 3 previous conferences on Ukraine, which were held in Copenhagen, in Jeddah, and then in Malta and Davos, 4. So we have attended all those 4, because we don't shy off from attending the conferences. But deliberations should be, we did not sign a communique. We did not want to be part of the communique because it is lopsided. After the consultation, had Russia been invited for this conference, certainly it would have been, we would have joined that. We would have been a part of the community, but the case was that. Yes, please.
Meanwhile, what perhaps is worse for Kiev is that even its staunchest ally, the United States, did not send its own head of state, with Joe Biden opting to attend a campaign fundraiser in California and Hollywood instead. Zelensky was clearly not impressed. He had clearly said that Biden's absence would be met with a personal standing applause by Putin in Moscow.
You are talking about the fundraising for Ukraine in USA?
No, I'm talking about a separate campaign fundraiser that the US president attended in Hollywood, instead of being at the summit.
Well, that is not anything that we can comment on, because fundraising by US president who is accused or who is convicted or who is being charged, that hardly matters, because in USA the candidate need not be even if a candidate is charged or accused, or even if a candidate is convicted or convicted.
Sir, it's about the significant optics though, right? The US president was not at this peace summit, yet he attended a campaign fundraiser in Hollywood. I guess we're talking about the significance of the optics here. But again,
because obviously, because it is the question of political life and death for Biden in the election year, and he would have known what is the outcome going to be. So he very much decided to skip it and attend the fundraising.
Well, let's see what this event, whether it has any impact on the conduct of the war, especially in the near term. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us with those quick comments. Well, the summit is not the first of its kind, though. Several other lower-level meetings have been held over the last year in which Ukraine has promoted its 10-point peace plan, calling for the full withdrawal of Russian troops and the restoration of its territorial integrity, among other conditions. But unfortunately, the events have had little impact on the battlefield. However, other than to emphasize Ukraine's need for more weaponry from its allies, fighting remains as the intense war rages on.